Hello, everybody. Welcome to the American Cinematheque at the Los Feliz 3. Thank you all so much for being here for Ninotchka on 35 millimeter. Since this is on film, can we have a huge round of applause for Cherlyn, our projectionist in the booth? Thank you, Cherlyn. Tonight is co-hosted and co-presented by the Greg Proops Film Club podcast, available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Mr. Proops will be up here doing a live recording of said podcast in just a moment. I'm just here to tell you about some of the awesome stuff we have coming up. Here, if you want to stick around tonight, Bad Santa, 10:15 p.m., I don't know. Also, our Sean Baker Tangerine 35 millimeter screenings coming up this week. Carol plays this week, if you saw the poster for that out in the lobby. We've got some annual holiday screenings that we do over at the Arrow Theater, like It's a Wonderful Life and Elf on 35 millimeter, Phantom Thread on 70 millimeter for New Year's Day. And the rest of our calendar you can check on our website, AmericanCinematheque.com, for the lineup across all three theaters. You just saw our holiday membership sales pitch. If that worked on you, check out our website for more info or to gift a membership or come talk to us out in the lobby. And if you are a member already, thank you guys so much, because we really wouldn't be putting on any of those screenings that I just said or this one tonight if it wasn't for you guys. We definitely wouldn't be expanding to a fourth theater in Westwood if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you as always. And the very last thing I have to say is just please, once the film starts, no phones out. We have a very strict no phone policy in here, so thank you for your cooperation on that. And now, without further ado, please help me welcome to the stage Greg Proops.
Hooray, hurrah! Once again, the Greg Proops Film Club convenes here at Hollywood's most enchanting film confabulation, the Los Feliz 3. Tonight, we are showing here at the Cinematheque Ernst Lubitsch 1939 classic, Ninotchka. Hooray! This is where you chair. Thanks for coming out, film fans. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a groovy holiday season. This year can get fucked and go in a coffin right away, and let's move on to next year. So we're gonna celebrate how great this picture is and how much fun we're going to have tonight. First, I'm going to pour myself a little drink out of the globe here. Whoa, crikey. I hope that you've been having a groovy holiday season. I know how things are, and, I'm excited. I really am. I mean, I'm not as excited as Erica Kirk, although I do want to wear leather pants and glitter and have fireworks go off. By the way, if that was my husband, I'd be setting off fucking fireworks too. Oh, I like to start the holiday season with some horrible, morbid humor. And I think we all do, really. I can't find the hole that this goes in, so I'm going to walk back over here. Oh, there's a glass in here. Crikey. There's all kinds of shit in here. Wow. I really need to look in the globe more often. I also need to be near the microphone occasionally, because I think this podcast is going to sound like someone standing 5 feet away from a microphone until I get back over here. Here we go. Anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming out. If you've come to the Greg Proops Film Club before, you'll know that it's exactly like all other podcasts. Thank you. I interview other men, and we talk about our genitalia for half an hour. And then we move on into what's going on in the night. My wife, Jennifer, I would like to thank first and foremost during this holiday season, because these are the pictures that we've shown this year. And if you're thinking about coming back, even though I'm guessing that after the first few minutes here, some of you are like, I'm never coming back. This year, we really had some groovy pictures. And we only have 3 or 4 criteria for the Greg Proops Film Club. 1, is it under 2 hours? And 2, is it awesome? And so that's our rules. So there'll be no Tarkovsky, David Lean, Stanley Kubrick, or any of the 17.5-hour. We're never going to show what's the one with the guy and they build the bomb, Oppenheimer. We're never showing that. So now that you know that, the last Christmas we showed Moonstruck, which is a very popular movie, and then Sweet Smell of Success. I don't know if you've yeah, that was a goodie. The Bells of St. Trinian's, which if you haven't seen, you really must. And if you don't have time to watch Bells of St. Trinian's this holiday season, the 1951 Alastair Sim Scrooge is my favorite of all the Christmas carols. And it's really a lovely movie. And by the way, Christmas Carol is, there's 1,000 versions of it. I just watched the Patrick Stewart one yesterday. There's a George C. Scott one. There's a Reginald Denny one from the 30s. I'm probably forgetting a few. There's even a Guy Pearce one from a couple of years ago where he plays Scrooge. And the logical fallacy of the movie is that rich, billionaire, horrible, industrial, oppressive people who hate the poor have epiphanies when they feel sad about themselves. Sadly, I think the part of the movie that really never works. I adore the film, and I love the book, but also the idea that a millionaire is going to look back on their life and go, man, I should do things differently. It's just really not going to happen. The idea that Elon Musk has anything that will penetrate the ketamine wall that envelops him at all times, or that he's going to think, oh my God, a child was suffering. He'll just be like, I'm going to build a car that goes to Mars and one that blows up and that looks like a dumpster. That's all he's thinking about. Then we showed Pillow Talk, which I don't know if you've ever seen any Rock Hudson, Doris Day movies, but they're all pure delight. And then our first John Siegel movie that we showed, Charlie Varick with Walter Matthau, super terse. Jennifer picked Paris is Burning. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, a movie about drag queens in New York and transgender people in the 80s, a really superb movie. And then for the summer, we had The Producers by Mel Brooks, which is another movie. You may have noticed a theme here. There's always a subtle connection to what's going on in the world with all of the Greg Proops Film Club movies. Then Le Corbeau by Clouzot, which is about a small village in France during World War II where a poison pen letter goes out, an extraordinary film. And then last month we showed Network. And for the people who hadn't seen Network, and I don't know if you guys have seen Network, I know it's 50 years old. It's a movie about television, which seems irrelevant now, except that they turn the nightly news into a tabloid show, and at the end of every news program, a mad person gets up and speaks for 20 minutes and rants and raves until they pass out and the audience cheers. So it seemed a little pertinent to the crowd last month. Everyone sat like this, and it's a comedy, by the way. As Mark Twain said, what is it? The only thing that ruins comedy is too much truth. And what did Voltaire say? God is a stand-up comic playing to an audience who's too frightened to laugh. So sometimes we hit the nail on the head. Ninotchka, 1939. This year for movies is often, you'll hear talked about as Hollywood's greatest year, but also lots of great foreign films. But 1939 is an insane year for movies. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, The Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, The Rules of the Game by Renoir, Stagecoach by John Ford, The Women, Wuthering Heights, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the one with Charles Laughton and Maureen O'Hara, Destry Rides Again, which is a superb Western, The Roaring Twenties with James Cagney, Dark Victory, where Bette Davis has cancer, Only Angels Have Wings, where they have to, the World War, flying movie by Howard Hawks, Gunga Din by George Stevens with Victor McLaglen, and Elizabeth in Essex with Errol Flynn and Bette Davis. Those are just a couple of the movies that came out in 1939. It's pretty much a wipeout as far as years go. And it was because they were making, all the studios were making, I don't know, 50, 100 movies a year. Billy Wilder, who had just gotten it, and it was the writer of this movie along with Charles Brackett, Walter Reisch, and Ernst Lubitsch. Billy Wilder had just gotten a job at the studio in the 30s, and he said that that was the big difference between when he became an independent producer in the late 50s and when he made pictures in the 30s, that he goes, when I went to MGM, there was just no thought of budget. There was no end to the money. They just made movies. That's what they were doing. And then he said, once I became a producer, you spend all your time trying to raise money to make a picture. So this is during that heyday. Now, Ernst Lubitsch had come over from Europe to make a Mary Pickford silent picture, and he's the director of this. And Ernst Lubitsch is always considered one of the greatest comedy directors, and you'll see why tonight, because sex is at the center of everything, and yet it's all innuendo. He's a very, very clever boots, Ernst Lubitsch. He was an actor, he was a writer. He made the Mary Pickford picture, and it did okay, but he didn't stay with Mary Pickford. And by the way, Mary Pickford was the biggest star in the goddamn world. I know that it doesn't matter so much now, but in the silent pictures, she was called America's sweetheart, even though she was Canadian. And was an insane universal phenomenon, much like Greta Garbo was when they made this picture. There was no bigger studio than MGM, where this picture came from, and no bigger star at MGM than Greta Garbo. She was literally the living end. I don't even know who to compare her to now as a figure. Beyonce, maybe Madonna in the 80s, but with acting. And that was a joke as well, but please, choose as you go. If you were a comedy crowd, I would berate you and say, let me make this easy for you whenever I'm done talking. It's funny. But since you're a movie crowd, I'm letting you off the hook, and it's the holiday season, and my heart is full of warmth, much like Scrooge before the third ghost gets there. And so thank you. Ernst Lubitsch had what they call the Lubitsch touch, which you'll see in this movie. And Billy Wilder, who wrote several pictures for him with his partner Charles Brackett, was enamored and really thought Ernst Lubitsch was the greatest of all directors. And the rest of his life in his office, Billy Wilder had an enormous sign over on the wall of his office behind his desk that said, "How would Lubitsch do it?" So that whenever he got stuck on something, he'd look at the sign and think, how would Lubitsch do it? Because he has such a subtle and fantastic touch. And you'll find that there's jokes within jokes within jokes within jokes. Wilder and Brackett first wrote, I think, Bluebeard's Eighth Wife, which is right ahead of this one. And if you've ever seen that movie, Gary Cooper and Claudette Colbert meet in a department store, and they're buying a pair of pajamas. And he says, "Oh, can I just buy the bottoms? I never wear the tops." And the clerk goes, "No." And then Claudette Colbert comes in and goes, "Can I buy the top? I never wear the bottoms." Yeah, so you see where we're going with this. That's the kind of humor we're talking about here. And so they made that picture with him, and then they got this picture together with him. Now, there was a Hungarian writer who had the idea for this movie, and it was at a poolside conference. They were Melchior I'm not going to massacre his last name, Lenyau. In 1937, they were talking about Garbo in a comedy. Now, Garbo had never been in a comedy, only big dramas, you know, Camille and Queen Christina and all those kind of pictures like that. And she'd been an enormous silent movie star and didn't speak such great English. Then, when they finally put her in a talkie, it was called Anna Christie, and all the posters around the world said, "Garbo speaks," right? No one had heard her voice. And her first line in her first talkie, she walks into a bar, and it's a shitty bar. It's a dive, and she's down and out. And she goes, "Let me have a whiskey with a ginger ale on the side. And don't be stingy, baby." And after that, it was off to the races. She was still the biggest bloody star in the world, but had never done anything funny, right? She was always, part of the reason why she's so magic in the silent films is you've seen a silent film. Sometimes the acting's a little broad. They indicate, although silent films are genius, she never did that. And I think that's part of the magic. One, she's stunningly gorgeous, and her face alone, if you just looked at it in a photograph for the rest of your life, you'd be happy. Secondly, she doesn't do any of the histrionics that we associate with silent film. She would look down, or she would look to the side, or she would just close her eyes. And that's what made her genius. Gregory Peck said of her, she invented method acting in film, because with her it was behavior and not indicating how you felt. Betty Davis said, her instinct, her mastery over the machine was pure witchcraft. I cannot analyze this woman's acting. I only know that no one else so effectively worked in front of a camera. So Melchior Lenyau was having a poolside meeting, as you do in Hollywood, and they were like, what would a Garbo comedy be? And he came up with 3 sentences. Russian girl saturated with Bolshevist ideas goes to fearful capitalistic, monopolistic Paris. She meets romance, has an uproarious good time. Capitalism not so bad after all. That's the plot of this movie. 3 sentences, and it's genius, right? So they made the picture with Lubitsch, and Lubitsch was forever tinkering with things because he was such a good writer. And at the same time as being so involved in the writing and working with the actors, he was like Hitchcock in so much as he planned everything out meticulously. Lubitsch was a real craftsperson in film. And so his movies are meticulous. If you've seen, at Christmas time, they often show, I almost called it Little Shop of Horrors because you stood up and scared the shit out of me just there. Shop Around the Corner with James Stewart. And it's a very cute movie. Also, you're going to get a serious dose of Eastern European because apparently America in the 30s was still very Eastern European. As you know, my assertion is that all Hollywood movies that were made during the Hollywood studio system, the point of all of them is to tell you that all of America is Scottish-Irish. Well, with Lubitsch and Wilder, the point was to tell you everyone's from Hungary and they're Jewish, even when they're all Russians. I don't think there's a Russian in this movie, and that's what makes it so very awesome. When Lubitsch passed away, and he passed away quite early, they were all at the funeral, everyone in Hollywood. And William Wyler, the great director, who was also a German. And by the way, these are all people from the World War II diaspora that came over from Europe. Billy Wilder came over from Austria, Poland. His whole family was decimated in the Holocaust, and so he spent his entire life listening to people talk about the kind of shit they talk about now still, about how there was no Holocaust and the Jews are so mean and all that. His quote was, to those of who denied the Holocaust, Wilder wrote, "If the concentration camps and the gas chambers were all imaginary, then please tell me where's my mother?" Not as funny as I might be, but there you are. It's the absolute truth. So I think that this picture, hi, welcome back. My goodness, that was fast. Lubitsch made this Christmas movie, Shop Around the Corner, and everyone's Middle European in that movie too, and it takes place in Budapest. So you get a real dose. Of course, no one speaks any foreign languages. They all speak English to make it easy and fun for us, the Hollywood audience. I would say that Garbo in this movie really makes it happen with the comedy because she's not trying to be funny in any way. She's playing it as dour and straight and deadpan as humanly possible. And the male lead is, kittens are just, Melvin Douglas. Yeah, thank you. So I knew someone was going to jump in there. I know you're listening. Melvin Douglas plays the roue in this one. And by the way, he plays a French noble person. Exactly. It's precisely what I would have cast. But then, what's his name? Bradley. Who played Leonard Bernstein in the? Bradley Cooper. Again, exactly who I would have cast as Leonard Bernstein. That's what Hollywood's all about, magic. It occurs to me that Ernst Lubitsch was beloved, and he was beloved in show business, and that's a real trick to be beloved in this business. And Billy Wilder was at the funeral, and William Wyler said to him, "No more Lubitsch." And Billy Wilder said, "Worse than that, no more Lubitsch pictures." Which brings me to this. This year was a really wild one as far as the real world, but in cinema world, a lot of the people who we lost were absolutely as beloved as they possibly could be. Robert Redford, Diane Keaton, Val Kilmer, Richard Chamberlain. I don't think you can find anyone to say anything bad about Robert Redford and what he did for cinema and what he did for independent film. And Diane Keaton, her brazen independence and her non-reliance on come and get it. Always playing sexy, but never only a sex object. Always quirky, intelligent, challenging. Richard Chamberlain, practically English. He played so many bloody English roles, right? Moved to London and got tired of being a television star. Did all these romantic films. Val Kilmer, who was an absolute lunatic and just absolutely irreplaceable. He's unforgettable in a bunch of different movies. I saw a clip the other day and they showed from Top Gun. How long is he in Top Gun? 10 minutes? He steals the whole fucking movie. And then there's Tombstone, which if you're a man, and I see some of you are, men love the movie Tombstone. And the truth is, Tombstone's a fucking 45 minutes too long. There's so much fucking filler in the movie Tombstone, it's not even funny. It's convoluted, it's abstruse. There's parts of it that make no fucking sense whatsoever. There's montages where there should be action sequences, and yet we come back to Tombstone again and again and again. And it's not for Kurt Russell's mustache, which is formidable. His mustache and Sam Elliott's mustache are doing so much heavy lifting in the movie. Sam Elliott's mustache is like a complete edifice. And Kurt Russell's mustache is another character in the movie. It's literally like this through the whole movie. You come back for Val Kilmer, who's in an entirely different movie, some sort of weird European art film, where he's sweaty and he's dying of consumption and he's smoking and he's on drugs and they've given him a European girlfriend and he speaks in Latin in the whole movie. And again, if you watch the movie, and you really oughtn't, if you do, watch it fast forward, because I love Dana Delaney. I'm not going to say anything ratty about her. Skip all of her scenes, and then move, because the romance between Kurt Russell and Dana Delaney is, I say goodnight. And then every scene with Val Kilmer is absolutely riveting. And the shootout in the movie with him and Michael Biehn is one of the great shootouts in Western history. They walk backwards like duelists with their guns port, right? They don't come at each other down the street high noon style like every other director did. They walk in a circle around each other. And that's the thing. You never forget that. You never forget Robert Redford and All the President's Men and Butch Cassidy. You never forget Diane Keaton and Annie Hall, because they're indelible. They worm their way into your heart. That's the magic. Udo Kier, who recently sailed off. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen an Udo Kier movie, but never mind the movies. Go home or on your phone on the way home, watch the Deeper and Deeper video by Madonna from the 90s. Udo Kier is in it. He's a beautiful German man with enormous eyes, and he overacts in the posters of his movies. There's no way to describe how much magic Udo Kier is bringing every second of every time he's on screen for 30 seconds. It really doesn't matter how much Udo Kier's there. He's gonna enchant you. Now, he's in the Dracula and Frankenstein movies from the 70s, the Warhol ones, which are almost a Monty Python parody of horror movies, because people are being chopped up and running around and every kind of gross thing. And Udo Kier has one of the great lines in movie history in the movie Flesh for Frankenstein. He says to his assistant, he's playing Dr. Frankenstein, to know death, Otto, you must fuck life in the gallbladder. And that's where the magic is. And so I would say to you that the people who own the studios, Mr. Ellison, the people who run the studios, Mr. Zasloff, will long be forgotten. That no one will remember their names. And yet all of these movie stars, like we're still talking about Garbo and Billy Wilder. So I had two chances with Billy Wilder. I was walking down the street. Jennifer was in London, and I was walking down Rodeo in Beverly Hills. And a small German man was coming the other way toward me with a stick, a walking stick. And he was maybe, 3.5 feet tall. He was very small. He was Ewok-sized, and he was stumping down the street with the stick in his right hand, and I recognized him from 20 yards away. This was in the 90s. It was Billy Wilder, who kept an office on Little Santa Monica over in Beverly Hills for the rest of his career. After he quit making pictures, he still went to the office every day, and every once in a while, Jennifer would see him at the newsstand over on Kings Road. You remember that newsstand, because they sold Der Stern and Der Spiegel, right, all the German magazines. And Wilder, after all that time, still stopped every Sunday and bought all the German magazines, right? So Wilder stumping down the road. And if you don't know who he is, he directed The Apartment. He directed Witness for the Prosecution, Sunset Boulevard, The Lost Weekend. He's a superb movie director. Cynical might be a word you'd use. And there he died. So here he comes down the street, and I believe his epitaph was, I'm a writer, but nobody's perfect. And he's stumping down the street with his stick, and I look this way, and I look that way, and I'm like, holy shit. I am the only person who notices that Billy Wilder is coming down Rodeo. He's completely being ignored. So I embraced him. I thought, well, I'm never getting another chance. Here he is. So I said, excuse me, Mr. Wilder. And he, right, up from the cane. And I said, may I shake your hand? I'm a very great fan of yours. He took the cane, he put it in his left hand. He took my hand and he went, thank you, goodbye. And now I give you from 1939, Ernst Lubitsch classic, Ninotchka.